gotcha. Looks like 280 people watching. Okay. You want to take the ropes down first, or you want to just go for it?
What?
You want to take the rope down first, or you want to just go for it?
Let's go ahead and get this part done.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're ready.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's go in and collect the egg and explain what we're doing to the camera. So is this where we get to say hi, Mom?
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Turtles are gone.
All right.
So Lindsay, do you have a Ziploc bag?
I do.
If you want a Tupperware too.
I brought my case up, but if you're going back to the center after this, it might be good to just put it in the Tupperware.
Yeah. And I've also got...
Want me to wear a glove for this, or?
No, you don't need
Alright.
gloves, but there's that.
Whew.
Hey Lindsay, is this where you fall in?
Yes, probably. Most likely. Oh, there we go.
So one thing you can do before you put it in the Ziploc bag.
Hey, Lindsay, let's see that egg.
And one thing
let me zoom in on it.
Yep.
One thing we can do for the viewing audience is we can actually float the egg in the water.
Hold on a minute. Okay.
Can you see it?
Got it.
Great. So if you're careful about it, you can actually, you know what we can do here? I'm going to come up there without tipping us over, hopefully.
We'll see. Yeah, you're good.
And I don't know whether this container will work real well for it, but if you just set the egg in there.
Got it?
Yeah.
It floats a little.
Yeah, I'm going to actually get it all the way in the water. Yeah, so the developmental stage of the embryo changes the buoyancy of the egg so that you can tell in a fresh egg how far developed it is.
John?
Yeah.
Audience wants to know, is there any cracks or pips in the egg?
Oh. No, it looks totally whole and inviolable. And I'm demonstrating the float test, Bill, so that I can show people how we can check what the developmental stage of the egg is without even opening it.
I'm going to collect the eggshells from the other egg.
Yeah. Basically, as the egg and the embryo form, the flotation of the egg changes. So and I'll have to go back and look up what this vertical float means, but we may have a first indication of how far along the egg got by just how it's floating in the water. Needless to say, we don't do this with the viable eggs while the loons are nesting.
Yeah.
But this one, as people who've been watching will know, this may well be the first egg that was laid and not tended very well early in the nesting when there were a lot of black flies. And it's probably, I'd say there's, almost a quarter of the eggs that we're aware of that either hatch or don't in New Hampshire don't hatch. So we collect for every year now, we collect over 50 inviable eggs, and a lot of them are probably duds from the start. So that there's good reason to think this egg just doesn't have never developed past the early stages.
If I step out, am I going to sink?
Yeah, but let me put the egg down and get an oar in the water, at least one.
I just need a little bit of a
Yeah.
place to step so I can get the rest of the eggshells.
Yeah, if you try standing right next to the bowl, right next
Yeah.
to that landscape.
Alright, will you hang on to this?
Yeah.
I might. Where's the other oar?
It's in the water.
Okay, there you go. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I swear, if I sink up to my chest on that camera, I'm gonna be...
It's kind of squishy. It's what a loon likes.
It's kind of very squishy.
Is that far enough to grab what you need?
Whew. Yeah, almost. Come on. Okay. Can you hand me that bag?
Yeah.
This is a fun balancing act. Oh, gosh.
There you go.
Woo. See any membrane in the water, John?
I do not. I wonder if we got that. Hey, Bill, was there any sighting of the loon removing the egg membrane from the nest?
Ooh.
Yes, the first one, it threw it sort of towards me.
Okay.
Like that direction? Huh.
It sort of picked it up in its beak and flung it.
I don't see it, obviously, but it could be around here somewhere.
Maybe it's a snapping turtle snack at this point.
Sorry, there's a lot of little pieces.
Yeah.
I think I got most of them. I'll have to lay this out to dry when I get back.
Yeah, and I don't know how well people can hear us, but just to narrate a little more,
Pretty good.
This process of collecting the eggshells and any unhatched eggs is something that we're doing at all the nests that we're aware of in New Hampshire. So at this point, a couple hundred nests a year or so. And the eggs we can save and test for contaminants. The eggshells we can actually measure the thickness of. And we have eggshells collected all the way back to, I think we have one eggshell from the 1930s on Squam Lake, when eggshells for loons and other birds were noticeably thicker prior to the use of DDT. And since then, the eggshells of loons have gotten thinner in the 1960s and 70s, and then gradually over the decades since DDT was banned, thicker again. Yeah. So that's what will happen to the eggshells. Yeah, this egg is whole and pretty average size. That'll go in the freezer.
Okay, good.
Do you have a separate Ziploc bag for the egg?
Let me see.
I've got one.
Thought I did.
Okay.
You got next one?
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything we forgot to mention, Bill?
No, I think we're good.
Great.
Let's ask the audience if there's anything else they want you to say while you're out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, nice work.
I don't think anyone will ever beat your balance skills, however. They're rather impressive.
Give another 30 seconds for the delay.
Okay.
Hi, Mom.
So Mike calls them pods, but they've been using this pod or that pod over there for, since this loon was banded in the late 1990s, at
Oh, wow.
least.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this?
decades.
It was over there last year, wasn't it?
Last year in
Was-
2016 was
it
on
was
this
here?
spot,
What
but
happened to the nest?
what will happen to this nest? It's gonna stay pretty much the way it looks now. It'll get matted down over the winter by the snow and ice, but next spring it'll look a lot like it does now without all the vegetation grown up. And that's one of the reasons why it's helpful to clean off the eggshells so we can tell whether it's been used going into next year or not. If it has eggshells in it next year, we might mistake them for that year's nest attempt. But yeah, it'll look pretty much the same as it does right this moment. And there is, as Lindsay was asking, there is another hummock over 10 yards away that they sometimes use. And this spring, when the water was higher, they were checking out this spot and that one and one even farther. Yeah.
Another question is, are you going to open this egg up to find out what happened and how long before that will be done?
I think, Bill. I think given the interest in this nest and in the egg, just because it's the one that's been caught on camera, that we can probably open it right away back at the Loon Center and check to see what the developmental stage is, and then save the contents. And typically the eggs are archived in our freezers at the Loon Center, or depending on which lake they're from, shipped out that year for contaminants testing. And most commonly that's mercury, but Squam Lake and other reference lakes connected with that investigation, we might be testing them for a broader range of contaminants, a whole suite of different legacy contaminants like the DDT, and then other contaminants of emerging concern like flame retardants, stain repellents, things like that. So that whole suite of contaminants is a really expensive set of analyses, a couple $1,000s an egg or so, and it's only a very limited number of eggs that are tested that way. And I think that we have tested in the past an egg from this pond for mercury, as well as the blood sample taken from the adult loons when they were originally captured in the late 1990s. So, one thing, as we open the egg up, Bill, maybe we can provide to folks who are tuning in some of that history in terms of the mercury levels on this pond, just to kind of give a context for what the egg collection and analysis could.
Is that why the egg shells have thinned out?
Yeah, the eggshell thinning is from the widespread use of DDT in in North America that peaked in the 1960s, and then as people realized the hazard not just to birds but to everything in the environment, DDT was banned, and there's still DDT in the lakes from that era and in the eggs and eggshells, but it's subsiding, and so the effect as far as thinning the eggshells is much reduced. I think one of the ongoing projects that we have is, as we measure the eggshells, is to track the re-thickening of the eggshells, and the thickness today in the eggshells we're collecting here is probably going to be close to what it would have been prior to the use of DDT, in the early 20th century. But it's still not completely clean and thick.
How far do you think the pair and the chick is right now, and how long will they stay on this pond?
I'm going a little bit after the look.
Yeah, Lindsay's going to go check again, but as we came up this morning and arrived here, we did look out on the typical brooding area, which is some distance away, as is typical, and we didn't see the loons there. So they will, though, with the chicks, stay on the same water body for through the fall, usually. And the chick will need a couple, 3 months, 10 to 12 weeks before it's able to fly. And during that whole time, it will be on this water body. And generally, especially in the first couple months, at least one of the adult loons will be hanging around with it, foraging on this water body. The other adult loon may take off and go elsewhere. But it will be late October, mid-November before the adult loons and then finally the loon chick fly off the pond and head to the coast.
So it's just 11 o'clock now. Do you want to show the egg one more time to those that tuned in a little bit after the fact?
Absolutely. So, Bill, you'll have to tell us what you've got as far as a view, and I can hold the egg up. But
hold it up. I'll zoom in on you.
Yeah. So this is cool. Usually,
We'll take an eggshell too.
well, let me just see if you can. That camera's so great. Let's see if you can zoom in on the shell so people can see. See them.
Bravo.
Are you ready to zoom,
yeah,
Bill?
We're good.
Yeah. So these are the eggshells, and typically a hatched eggshell will look like this. The membrane will be separated from the shell. If we come to a nest and find that the eggshells are in bigger fragments and the membrane's still adhered to the shell, we know that it was probably predated. But all these little fragments is a hatch. And then the egg itself, the unhatched egg here, is pretty typical, well camouflaged. So I came across a couple eggs yesterday that I think were from last year's nest at a different lake.
Oh.
And nobody had, no scavenger had found them in that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And what we'll do as we head back and open this egg up is, before we open it, we'll measure the volume of the egg, the water it displaces, and the length and width as standard measurements. And we can compare those measurements with the contaminant levels we measure in the egg contents, and with the ecological attributes of the water body, the age of the loons, if they're known age, just to get a sense for how all those factors can influence the health and viability of the egg, and the morphometrics, the size that goes with that, and the weight that goes with that.
Okay, if you've got any last minute words, and then we can thank our audience. We've got about 350 people watching.
Oh, great. No, thanks for tuning in. This is the last we'll be at the nest this year, and these biological collections of the eggs, the eggshells, and as we hear about or discover deceased loons and collect mortalities, all of those collections are going into the research that we're doing to find out what's affecting loons, stressing loons in New Hampshire, and so this is all part of the work. Thanks for tuning into it. Okay.
Okay, while they're doing that, folks, this is the Loon Cam operator. We're going to shut the camera down shortly. We're going to leave the chat room open for another couple hours, and then this 30 days by now. This 30-day episode is going to be over. So thanks everybody for watching, and we're going to have another nest hopefully next week. Come to loon.org to check out the details on that.
Bye, Mom.
Thanks all. Is the 20th?
Today is the 20th. Already. undo this.
So let's go put